Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome, and thank you so very much for being here. I am particularly excited right now. Why? Because we're about to dive into my favorite topic, personalized positive prime sessions. And what are they, and why are they so incredible, and what's in it for you? I think before we go very much further, I want to lay some foundations. So for those of you, I'm absolutely sure, given that you've actually registered for this special online event, know that I'm Kim Serafini, the founder and CEO of Positive Prime Technology. It is an honor, privilege, and pleasure to be here. And I am so very grateful that you're all sharing your love and your energy and your enthusiasm, and that you're all really leaning in to listen. Over the next little while, I am actually going to drop some real gems. I've been on a journey really in spirituality and science and the merging of the two, in understanding the connections between the brain and the heart, the mind and the body, and absolutely our spirit or our souls and how we can soar. And the reality is that I've had a lot of amazing, extraordinary mentors and experiences, from me actually teaching Ayurvedic doctors and therapists in the Himalayas or in the Himalayas at the top of India, all the way through to doing really intense one-on-one workshops with people like Dr. Joe Dispenza, Deepak Chopra, my good friend Christine Carlson from the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff fame, and also sharing the stage with people like Jack Canfield from Chicken Soup for the Soul and the Success Principles. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. I had an outrageously successful career as a change management consultant in the field of mergers and acquisitions in the huge organizational, international, transformational change industry. And a lot of what I bring to the table today is actually more so about how I weave that into. The reality was that 20 years ago, I was pretty much burnt out. I'd been a young, dynamic, ambitious, driven, hardworking Australian in both London and New York. I took a break and I went back and I studied and qualified in the United Kingdom as a sports therapist, an exercise physiologist, and an osteopath doing rehabilitation of injuries. And I then developed an incredible business in the spa industry. And spa means salas per aqua, health through water. And it's really a theme and a devotion that has seen the last 20 years of what has evolved now as a positive prime session. What is it? Well, I want you to think of it being this beautiful pot where if you looked inside, you'd see at least 10 very precious gems. I've actually integrated various amazing concepts, strategies, and tools, interventions from both that world as a change or transformation management consultant and the spa industry, and indeed my complete unbridled curiosity in positive psychology and neuroscience and what it means for you and me, what it means for us, right? So that we can achieve our goals with more grace and ease, more joy and simplicity, and how we can actually leverage real advances, revolutionary changes in technology that give us a way for us to access our other than consciousness in the quantum field or the vortex, unlike anything we've been able to do up until now. And it is possible. It's possible for you and me, just ordinary, everyday, normal human beings who have real lives with real opportunities and real challenges, who actually want to have real fun and be playful, but we also want to make an impact. We want to be influential, and we actually really do want to enjoy that which is important and significant to us as we create meaning with our lives. So the foundation really is about a couple of principles. One is that you and I, we are magnificent. We are way beyond our wildest imagination for brilliance and radiance and gorgeousness. We're so much smarter than we give ourselves credit for. We're so much more creative than we could possibly understand. And very often our extremely busy, stressful lives actually prevent us from being our best. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today is really a tool or an intervention that allows you to pursue your potential in a very grand way, but also in a way that really recognizes our humanity, the humanness that we have. And some of that is about our vulnerabilities and our simple facts that we are in fact just human as well as angelic. You know, we really have a divine intelligence within us and around us, and this is all about harnessing all of that so that we can allow our beauty to unfold, and so that we can share more of the real truth of who we are and what we're here to do. Okay, so that's one of the ground, I suppose, principles or structures that is really going to guide us. Another one, of course, is that, seriously, I'm sure you all get this now, particularly at this moment in history, our lives are so precious and our lives are so short. And we must make the most of it. We've got to experience all that we really want to experience. And we have to prepare for that. And we have to plan for that. And we have to strategize for that. And then we have to spontaneously go live that, right? We really have to pursue everyday living so that we actually feel incredibly fulfilled, richly rewarded, just for living, right? And if you're anything like me, you're in your adult life and you now have an appreciation and an understanding that, quite frankly, some of us may only have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years left, and we don't know that we're not going to be, or that we are going to be, the person for whom something really seriously life-threatening is going to occur for us. And so what could we do today just to seize it and to be our best and to offer compassion and thoughtfulness and consideration and enthusiasm and optimism and cheerfulness? What is it that we could do with today that allows us to actually really squeeze the juice out of life and drink it so that it actually enriches us? All right, so that's another one of the foundations. So what are we going to be talking about here? We're going to be talking about essentially software. So I'm in business, as I'm imagining that you are too, and we have tens of thousands of members and subscribers within this particular community that leverages a platform that we call the Positive Prime platform and all the programs within it. So what is it? All right, so let me just go through a little bit of a summary for you. So first, I think truthfully, it's all about enhanced learning. We have an environment that you can log into. It's really a software platform where you can access hundreds of programs, and those programs are like the best summaries of what used to be at-home study courses. I'll give you an example. Jack Canfield wrote an amazing book called The Success Principles. The essence of that book, all of the most important and meaningful messages that you will want to internalize and apply and bring to life and actually live, they're inside a program that we call a Positive Prime session. And that is one of hundreds of programs. We have very famous people who have contributed, and we also have people who are really phenomenal teachers and coaches and therapists and mentors and consultants who actually live everyday lives, who aren't famous, who contribute powerful programs as well. And we call them Positive Prime sessions. So first and foremost, we're really talking about enhanced learning. And I don't know about you, but I've certainly come across great TED Talks or great presentations or workshops where I've learned that the very best CEOs who are at the top of their game, they speed read at least one book a week. And so in any 1 year, they've actually absorbed at least 52 brilliant ideas, and then they really work to apply them in their lives. And that makes them awesome as leaders. And so the platform that is Positive Prime is really about giving you something that could actually really feed you nutritious information that will allow you to actually excel. Okay, this is all about you optimizing who you are and how you actually offer your gifts, your talents to the world. All right, how we bring to life your strengths and how we reinforce them. So in addition to it being a learning platform or a software that facilitates that very elegantly, and there's a lot of science, we've actually proven that when you actually engage in these programs and you're really present as you're doing one of these Positive Prime sessions, which actually literally means that all you've done is you've pressed play and you're enjoying it and you're very present and you're watching something that's flashing across you. It's activating and stimulating a whole heap, but we'll go into that, all right? So I'm going to tell you what actually physically happens when the retina in your eyes sends messages to your mirror neurons in your brain and then through your body, okay? So what we're actually talking about has so much more than just the mind involved. It actually has really your mind-body connection, and including your actual connection with the environment that you exist in, and in the quantum field, the other than consciousness or super consciousness or the vortex or the field, the divine intelligence, the life force energy that we're all existing in. But I could go really down a rabbit hole into the whole spirituality of it, but I'm a very practically based woman as well. So I'm going to really kind of keep it real for us. So what you've actually got in your hands, if you choose to actually do what I'm going to suggest and recommend that you do, which is personalized Positive Prime sessions, so that you actually literally achieve with serendipity and with synchronicity and coincidence and magic and flow, with the ability to surrender and let go, and the ability to actually really have a lot of fun in the process and really start to feel very happy and content with the way that your life is unfolding, okay? So we've only got a 1 out of 10 at this stage. So that's really accelerated, enhanced learning. Secondarily, what we really have for you is a vision board or visualization or dream board experience that's integrated within. It's one of the key components, and I want you to really go off and do a whole heap more research if you need to, but being crystal clear about what it is that you want, you need, and you desire is absolutely fundamental to you being able to achieve your full potential. The possibilities that are available for you in this lifetime, they actually start to mushroom or blossom the more clear you get about what it is that you want to experience, okay? So there's an enormous amount of science around setting goals, being really crystal clear about them, but also imagining what it's like to achieve what it is that you want to actually accomplish. And I need to really appeal to you on this point. You are worth it. And you know what? Your life is that important. You owe it to yourself to spend a glorious morning just soaking in how spectacular this opportunity is to live. And you need to actually really gift yourself an opportunity to invest in clarifying what it is that you want and need, and then do the work that actually translates that into visual representation. I'm going to show you what we mean in this workshop, right? But I promise you, I come across an extraordinary number of people who really want their lives to be brighter and to be better, but they refuse to actually invest half a day about twice a year to actually go through this process where in the olden days, they would have created a vision board, a dream board, and they would have cut out what it is that they wanted. And unfortunately, nobody told them that it doesn't work unless you actually have photographs of yourself, not just the fancy car and the fancy house and the fancy holiday and the representation of the romance and the intimacy that you want and the, you know, washboard stomach with the rippling abs or whatever it is that might be your ideal, which by the way, none of that really is my ideal. But it could be yours, and there's no judgment here, right? Because what you want for your life is what's important, right? And declaring that and committing to it is really one of the great secrets. Really and truly, it's one of the great secrets to actually having the life that you dream of. Part of the process is you must declare it, you must commit to it, you must say, this is what I want and I'm worthy and deserving it. And telling the universe, and maybe it is that you're actually asking your angels to listen or to God to listen or just your friends or your colleagues or your mentor or your boss. But you know what? It's about you feeling strong enough in yourself and courageous enough in yourself that actually you're going to go for it. You're going to literally decide that this is the pathway for you. And then there are a couple of other real secrets, and that is that the resources you require will show up when you require them or before you require them, depending upon how you actually program your reticular activating system, which is a part of your brain stem. And that's really where I'm going to start to actually weave in some of the neuroscience and some of the positive psychology into what we're going to be talking about here. All right, so that's 2 of 10. Now 3 of 10. What is really going to amplify your opportunities is whether or not you're in a state of gratitude. So we've got a piece of software, and look, the truth is you could be in business and understand, and maybe you already do, that you actually must have a bookkeeping or accounting piece of software. And of course you're doing your business, but you know what? You know that you need to keep the numbers up to date and you need to actually do your work there. And actually you really, really are not going to survive as a business person unless you've got that sorted. This piece of software that I'm talking about, as in Positive Prime, is really a business tool that is equally as important. You must integrate it into your daily activities because it is that important. You've got to have your mind and emotion working together. You've got to have that sorted if you want to be successful. It's really that simple, okay? What I want you to know about this Positive Prime platform, or really the opportunity here, is that if I was going to talk to you about it being a flavor in a food, it would be rich and intense, really intense. What you've got is actually not 1 + 1 = 2. You've got like 1 + 1 = infinity in your hands. And if you actually engage in the daily experience of viewing a Positive Prime session, you are literally offering that opportunity to yourself. It's really a gift for yourself. It's more than an indulgence, right? If it was a nutritional supplement that you were taking, it would be both bioavailable and potent. Okay, the formula is phenomenal, and we have scientifically proven it, by the way, with some very fancy friends who are incredibly well respected globally. They've achieved so much on the international stage. They're ex-Harvard and UPenn superstars, and they actually did some incredible research studies that proved that when you view one of these sessions for 3 minutes, something miraculous happens inside your brain. And the fact is that it's really a state of brain that we have known as the broaden and build theory enlivened. So there's a very famous researcher, her name's Dr. Barbara Fredrickson from the University of North Carolina, and she actually came up with the broaden and build theory. And what it actually showed was that when your brain is in a particular state, you're more resourceful, you actually make more accurate decisions faster, you're more creative, and a lot of it has to do with the emotions that you're experiencing, and in particular, the positive emotions you're experiencing. And one of the fastest ways to actually have this effect happening inside your brain and then impacting your body is for you to experience a deep and profound and intense gratitude. So with this platform, I want you to now imagine that personalizing each and every single one of these programs, or what we call a session, requires that you upload photographs, and you can actually upload other JPEGs. You might use Canva or one of these other software programs that involves graphic design, so you can actually write your own mantras or affirmations or self-fulfilling prophecies or your goal statements, and you can actually include them as well. But if you really want to be super successful and you want magic to be helping you, quite frankly, you must be in a state of gratitude as you're actually visualizing and imagining and seeing your future. And so we actually are really intent on you making sure that there are photographs that represent what you're grateful for. And I could suggest this to you. You could actually do your own month-long challenge. You could take a beautiful photograph every single day with your smartphone of something that you're really grateful for. Now, it could be as simple as your kettle or your jug, whatever you want to call that thing that you switch on that boils water. Depending upon where you are in the world, it's called something different, right? But you know what? If you actually really love that cup of tea because it soothes you and it's part of your self-love ritual and it's nurturing you and it gives you time and peace and space, if you take a photograph of your boiling contraption, boiling water contraption, and you actually upload that, every time you see that image flash across in front of you, it's going to remind you that you are indeed incredibly appreciative of the opportunities for you to experience peace and calm and serenity. And those triggers, those reminders, they actually start to create a chemical cocktail inside your body. And the interesting thing is that it's actually producing healthy hormones. I could go into a lot of detail, but we actually have an amazing program for our subscribers, and they learn a lot more about the wisdom that there is for me to share from the spa industry, from decades of going to these exotic retreats with these amazing healers. So I'm going to leave that to the side for the moment. But anyway, what I can tell you is that inside this actual platform, you have really enhanced accelerated learning. You have a vision board, visualization, software opportunity. You also have a gratitude journal, really because of the way that we build that in. And for those of you who really do understand mantras and self-fulfilling prophecies and affirmations, what I want you to know is that inside each one of these programs, we'll talk about Jack Canfield's The Success Principles. The truth is that each one of the statements, the summaries from his book that you see that appear in that particular program, they are really self-fulfilling prophecies, or it's part of a psychological process, a learning process called appreciative inquiry. And your brain cannot help it. It actually naturally and very organically goes and actually answers questions because it's a curious aspect to you, this curiosity that you naturally have. And so if you see a question like, why is my life so great? Your brain will actually go off, your mind will do the work without you even knowing to come up with an excellent answer. If you ask your brain and you ask your mind to do the work, you give it an instruction via a question, you actually force it to go and actually align you with what is necessary for you to achieve your goals. It's a very, very interesting phenomenon. It works absolutely in the most stunning way, and a lot of us don't harness it. So you might read a fair bit about how affirmations may or may not work. The truth is that repetition is the mother of skill, and that's actually how we learned as children, and it is actually how we still learn as adults as well. And so what you actually want to be able to do is you want to have incredible statements that are positive and empowering and really that enrich you, and you want to live into those. And as you're actually watching these programs, it's really reprogramming your perhaps very limiting negative beliefs. Now, we actually have a whole workshop on how and why this all works, but I'll give you one tiny little example. We as human beings, we actually have an insatiable appetite to be right, correct, accurate. We can't help it. And the reason why was because when we were developing millennia ago as organisms, we actually needed to assess a threat, and anything that was unfamiliar was considered a threat initially. We're talking micro percentages of seconds in terms of pre-conscious processing, okay? So everything that was brand new, that was unfamiliar, that we didn't actually have some kind of reference point for, we didn't have like a card filed in the back of our memory, that was considered a threat. And so our reptilian brain, this ancient part of ourselves, we actually either freeze, right? Or we fight, or we fly. And you've heard that, flight, fright, or freeze. Now, that is actually a survival mechanism for us, as I'm sure you all appreciate. But let me just help you with how do we really apply that in this day and age. We've got lots of programs in the health and wellness category, right? Lots of programs about being really vibrant and being very flexible and strong and fit. And we've got lots of programs, lots of positive prime sessions that actually help to motivate and inspire you to exercise, to move, to, you know, eat a very balanced diet. Now, let's just say you've just been diagnosed and you're pre-diabetic, and you've never really had the necessity to actually go and understand what is low glycemic food. And so what's interesting is that you might reject any new information just because you're unfamiliar with it, and that's actually just because you're human. So what a positive prime session does is it shows you thousands of flashcards that actually bypass the conscious critical judgment factors of your prefrontal cortex that usually prevents you from accepting, absorbing, appreciating, and using any new information. Now, the truth is that if you've got to radically change in a dramatic way, often it's unfamiliar. Otherwise, you'd already be doing it. It'd already be a part of your life, right? So when we just understand that it's unfamiliar to us, then we can actually go easy on ourselves and be patient with ourselves and go, wow, this is just a natural reaction where I'm kind of rejecting or I'm putting up a defense just because it's unfamiliar. Now, what positive prime sessions do is they make the unfamiliar familiar with you whilst you're in this broaden and built state. Now, that state is called the positive prime state. Now, there's an incredible book I would recommend everybody on the planet read, and it's called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. He's one of my most valuable relationships. He's also one of my most treasured and certainly one of the most significant and meaningful of my entire lifetime. There's a whole nother video that you can watch that's available to you that explains a lot more about the story between me and Oprah and Sean Achor and our research and so forth. But anyway, the happiness advantage is incredible. He has a TED Talk. Definitely go and watch Sean Achor's TED Talk. It's available on our website. If you go to the science area of our website, you can actually watch that TED Talk. It is truly one of the best things that you could do within the next 24, 48 hours, okay? I have probably watched that TED Talk, by the way, no less than 20 times over the last, it'd have to be 8 or so years. And the reality is that I keep evolving and improving and developing as a human. And so every time I watch it, I see it with me being completely different. I actually literally have an appreciation for some of the messages in an entirely different perspective. It's quite fascinating to me. And so the happiness advantage really is well proven, and that's a person who is positively primed, okay? So let me just say that we've now got learning, visions, affirmations, gratitude, The fifth aspect of what we're really doing is something called neuroplasticity. It's actually brain training. We are going to be exploring whether it's appropriate and useful for us to actually do some investigative research on using positive prime in a clinical setting for people with cognitive abilities issues post-stroke, so stroke survivors and those people who've had traumatic brain injuries and so forth. But that's a whole nother couple of hours that we need to spend with each other, and it's really exciting because I'm very proud actually that there are people who recognize what really the positive prime tool can do for others, all sorts of different people for all sorts of different reasons. But what I really am kind of focused here for today is that how do I help you really excel in terms of achieving your goals with grace and ease and speed and joy and so forth, right? So we won't go down that path, but irrespective, the actual software, when you see 1,000 flashcards going in front of you, what actually happens is every time you press play, it reshuffles the deck. And it does this for a very, very, very important reason. And it's about neuroplasticity. It's about allowing new neural connections to occur so that you actually have new insights and you actually have new ways of looking at the world, which actually makes it more easily available for you to actually do things that you could never have considered before. The past does not equal the future. If there's one thing I want you to know is right here and right now today, you can be rejuvenated, you can be refreshed, you can be anew, right? And neuroplasticity is really about the fact that we can literally completely reconstruct the way that our thinking connects, and we can make it much more enriching. So interestingly enough, you have a tool that is really a very interesting idea for people who have depression and anxiety and PTSD. But I promise you, we need another hour or two to go into that. If you're really keen, I am going to suggest what you do is you go to the science area of our website and you'll actually see that there's a list. I want you to click on each one and I want you to go and watch the TED Talks. And I think you'll come to an aha and a wow yourself, and you'll actually really start to fathom how sophisticated positive prime is, even though there's a surface simplicity which is necessary for, quite frankly, achieving our goals. Before I go very much further, I just want to really do an aside here. I've been working with a leader of a business, and she's an entrepreneur, and effectively she sells products and does it through one of the models that's a bit like a franchise or a direct sales model. And we engage, she loves and really respects and admires positive prime. She's an incredible human being herself. Anyway, she did a presentation to her team, and that was about 200 people, and she explained what positive prime is and how and why it works, and she said go to the website and have a look at all the videos and watch all of them. And she said, I really, 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 really am committed to an experiment. I want at least as many of you as possible to go and click on upgrade account after you've created a free account. Now, everybody on the planet can actually create a free account, and they actually receive 120 credits. That's our currency that we use internally to actually buy programs from the area where it says shop sessions. And there literally is over 100 options for you right now. And it's rapidly growing as well. So we're expanding big time, which is fantastic. Anyway, so she actually had over 100 of that 200 upgrade their account into what's called a signature member. And the signature subscribers have this functionality that is provided, which is actually allowing you to personalize, to edit your sessions, to actually upload your own photographs. And I'm going to go into why that's important in terms of internalizing, and it's imperative if you are actually serious about living your best life and about enjoying it to the max and about you really having a life that you've actually been wanting or intending, okay? But anyway, here's the true story. Within 3 months, within 3 months, the entire business's volume had tripled. Oh my good Lord. Wow. That is seriously fabulous, isn't it? What was fascinating was that her performance really catapulted as well, and her own personal income had quadrupled. Now, what is interesting is that I expected that, but she didn't. And so it was really a delicious, blissful state to be in. What is even more important about this story is that it has continued to exponentially improve and expand. So the experiment worked. But what was the experiment? The experiment was all of these individuals were personally connected to an exercise that they did every day that positively primed themselves so that they were in a peak state for performance. Not only that, all of their strengths were literally being almost pushed to the front so that they would be much more aware of them and could utilize them, harness them and leverage them. Now, why did I expect it? You might wonder. Well, because Sean Acor actually did this presentation and I was there, and it was about 5 years ago, and an insurance company had actually engaged a program, a transformation program, where over 1,000 insurance salespeople were required to actually positively prime themselves every single day. So they had to go through a very long-winded process of writing out their goals, writing out what was going well, writing in a gratitude journal, visualizing and imagining. They had to spend some time learning. And you know what? Positive Prime does all of that, and you can do it inside 3 minutes, okay? You can literally watch a session for a couple of minutes. So we've actually compressed all of that activity into something very neat and tidy, and I'm very, 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 very happy about that. Because the reality is that unless you have a manager breathing down your neck or a boss that demands it of you, very rarely will human beings actually remember consistently and persistently to write down the 3 things that are going well every single day, and nor will they actually write in their gratitude journal and then really savor the experience of what it is that they appreciate. Because most people don't actually even know that that emotion called gratitude, it actually causes your body to increase oxygen absorption out of your bloodstream. Did you know that? It actually kind of makes you healthier. It is involved in developing hormones and endorphins that actually literally boost your immune system, right? So even if you were compelled, you're human, and so sometimes you forget it. But inside our software program, inside Positive Prime, because it's built in, you're actually doing your gratitude exercise because you've uploaded photographs of what you're really grateful for, right? And if you've done the challenge for yourself, you've thought about one thing you're really grateful for every single day, you've taken a photo and you've uploaded those photos, and so you're actually going to see a session that's got, you know, 30 different things that you're grateful for, and guess what that's going to do? It's going to cause you to be in a state of gratitude, and that raises your vibration, it raises your frequency. It actually brings you into alignment in the best possible way, in the highest possible way, with the highest truth of who you are as this magnificent, divine, intelligent human being, right? So what's incredible is that that insurance company, when they started the program, was turning over $100 million a year. That was revenues, $100 million a year. Within 1 year, it had tripled to $300 million. They thought that that was a fluke. There must have been some other kind of market force. Oh, no, no, no. So they redid it for a second year. And this is all part of some very sophisticated scientific research. And guess what happened? It went to $900 million. I was there in the room with the CEO, with Sean, talking about how the happiness advantage was lived, how positive priming actually worked for these 1,000 human beings. These 1,000 human beings were in this fabulous ballroom. We were at the Four Seasons Hotel in Las Vegas. And it was about 5 years ago. And so I know that when organizations, it could be a group of realtors, or we call them real estate agents here in Australia. It could be any business where a group of employees or a group of staff or just a team, right? If they positively prime themselves every single day, at least for a year, they should see a triple and then another triple. But you know what was amazing was that this woman that I've been working with, in terms of her actual business, it was inside 3 months. Inside 3 months. And I knew that this was actually a hypothesis that I was working, because what we've done with this amazing piece of software is that we've actually integrated all of these different activities into one and into 3 minutes. And because we have the reshuffling, we actually cause more connections to happen more efficiently and more effectively, okay? So I could say to you all, hey, go out there and create a vision board, but here's the truth. You have about 50,000 thoughts a day. You do, about 50,000 thoughts a day. We know from science that about 80% of those are similar to yesterday, the day before, last month. No wonder it's so difficult for us to actually change. And we make these incredible, you know, huge, we get all of this inertia. Yes, I'm going to change. And then we actually don't. And we wonder why, right? It's not our fault. We're human. And even though we are magnificent, we need help, all right? We really need something that's going to be a catalyst for us. So this daily activity that is watching a positive prime session really does amplify and accelerate, right? Now, what is fascinating is that when you watch a session, you can speed it up. I suggest for every new program you ever watch, unless of course you have a history with seizures or an issue with your cognitive abilities, I would very gently trial this a couple of times, maybe even talk to a medical professional if you need to for your own personal circumstances, the situation that you're actually in. But if you are perfectly normal and healthy and you're vibrant and mentally you're great and physically you're great and you're actually really trying to leapfrog yourself into the next realm of what's possible for you, then choose a new program. And then what I'm going to suggest that you do is that you actually watch it on a faster speed to begin with the first time. And then you actually go back and watch it slowly on speed 1 or 2. Now, having said that, I really do understand how important I am and how important my life is and how important this process is. So I don't actually do that. Normally I will choose a brand new session and I will actually go down to speed 1 and I will allow myself the luxury or the indulgence of watching the session all the way through on a very slow speed. I may then watch it on a faster speed. What happens is that on a faster speed, it is bypassing what has usually prevented you from changing before. That actual speed allows you to let it flow in and access your other than consciousness, and you can play with it in a very kinesthetic sense. Now, before we go, I want you to know that the formula for one of these positive prime sessions is really quite specific. Particular images are chosen for specific reasons. I.e., you'll see a lot of photographs of something called a Duchenne Smile, right? And a Duchenne Smile, literally your eyes see these smiles or people laughing, and your eyes actually can determine whether it's a genuine, sincere, real, authentic smile. Now, what happens is that this message in the retina of your eyes is sent to your mirror neurons in your brain. Several other things happen as well. And from a mimicking and mirroring point of view, your mirror neurons, which are up here, it's kind of where the horns would grow out if you were, no, it's where your halo sits. Okay, so it's here. It sends messages to your endocrine system and you start to produce more dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and these other endorphins that make you healthier and happier. See, what's fascinating is that your brain sees those Duchenne smiles and listen carefully, does not know that you are not smiling, processes and assumes you are smiling, and your body actually reacts as if you are smiling, and guess what? Ah, voila, woo! Guess what? You actually get that boost. And do you know what? You may not have even been smiling. Now, of course, it's going to be better if you put a nice, big, beautiful grin on your face and you feel cheerful when you're watching a positive prime session. But the reality is that all you got to do is press play, and it is doing it to you. Oh my goodness. I'm well known saying, oh my golly gosh, Rama. You know, seriously, I cannot tell you how revolutionary and how phenomenal that is. So you will see 1,000 flashcards because it's important for you to see 1,000 and not less, because you have 50,000 thoughts a day that we're actually trying to infiltrate. We're trying to actually influence, right? So that's just one of the types of photos. Now, we actually have a lot more training that's available for our very beautiful signature subscribers. And so we can explain to you why there are photographs of green tree canopy and how it actually boosts your immune system and why. We can tell you why there are incredible photographs of this, the victory or the V. I'll give you a little hint. You could actually go Google Amy Cuddy. Now that you know what a mirror neuron is, and now that you know the way that works, if you go Google Amy Cuddy, A-M-Y-C-U-D-D-Y, and you watch her TED Talk, maybe you'll be able to figure it out yourself. But what I want you to know is that there are about 20 aspects in the formula for the particular and very specific types of images that are used and why and how they're used. And all of that is based on really solid, robust, great science, right? So we got to accelerated, enhanced learning, vision boards, gratitude journals, mantras, affirmations, goal statements. Let me just really quickly tell you why it's so important for you to personalize. It's because of the way we are as human beings. We don't really accept something as possible. We don't really allow the potential. We don't give ourselves permission unless we've internalized. And the process to internalizing requires that you personalize, that you make it personal to you. So yes, you could actually watch Positive Prime programs. You could watch a lot of them. You could actually, every time you watch it for at least 5 minutes, you're earning credits. You could accumulate your credits. You could use that currency to continue buying programs inside shop sessions area, right? But the reality is that you are missing the most amazing, beautiful, magnificent, spectacular, phenomenal, extraordinary aspect if you do not personalize the sessions to internalize the messages. That will allow you to literally leapfrog yourself or catapult yourself. You will be like, you know, the SpaceX going to the International Space Station. You will take off, right? So for those of you who have been feeling frustrated or disappointed that what you want in life isn't coming fast enough, it is absolutely because you have not internalized what it is that you want and need and the beliefs that are necessary for you to actually achieve that. See, every single one of these programs, I'll give you an example. We'll talk about Jack Canfield's The Success Principles. If you actually had already internalized all of the messages in that book, you would be who you need to be. You would be doing what it is that you need to be doing to actually have achieved way beyond your wildest imagination already. And interestingly enough, you would already understand all of these little tiny pieces of the ingredient. And guess what? You would be like me and you would never, ever, ever not positively prime yourself prior to a presentation, prior to a date, you know, date night with my husband, right? I'll watch Romance and Intimacy. And there's a reason why, because I really get it, right? I really get it. I am so excited for who I'm becoming and for the next 5-10 years of my life. I will tell you, I have invested the time and the energy. I have gone to Google and I have gone and Googled, okay, so I want to go to Bora Bora, okay, in French Polynesia, and I want to stay in one of those overwater bungalows. And so I've actually found stunning images and I've downloaded them, I've saved them, and I've uploaded them into my, why? Because I am that important and my life is that important and it is so precious and it is so short and I am going for it. And guess what? I'm going to just be on autopilot, because one of the magnificent things about Positive Prime is that it actually happens in the other than consciousness whilst you're on autopilot, and your only role is to personalize your sessions as much as possible, as fast as possible, as soon as possible, and for you to then enjoy it. And all you've got to do is enjoy it, right? So you can actually mute the music if you like and go and open a different tab and listen to something else from YouTube that could be a paraliminal or a binaural beat piece of music, or some kind of Gregorian chanting, if you really love the sounds of the choirs in the beautiful cathedrals in Italy, or if you really love the chanting that is possible in some of the Hindu or Buddhist temples, maybe you want that kind of music. You can do whatever you like. Mute the music, go play something else. You have Spotify as an app on your computer. Open it up, play your playlist. Just indulge and savor and allow your other than consciousness to do the work for you. It's possible now. The software makes it possible. It's bioavailable. It wasn't possible before you had reshuffling and accelerated speed. Okay, that's just the truth. So I massively appreciate your being here. What I want you to know is that the more you actually personalize and the variety of sessions that you watch, this is one of the 10 aspects, is that it actually changes your identity. True story, I used to be a chronic procrastinator and an acute procrastinator, right? I was terrible at procrastinating. I just really was. And then I don't know, like I just started to create programs, actual positive prime sessions that was on taking actions and on surrendering and letting go. And guess what? There is nobody that could accuse me of being a procrastinator these days. Far from it. Most of the people who are close to me think, wow, like I get things done faster than most people on the planet, sooner than most people on the planet, and with joy and with grace and with speed and with personality, like seriously. And it's because my identity has changed. I no longer recognize myself as a procrastinator. I am not. I am really, really sensational at taking actions. I take lots of tiny little actions before I can even try to talk myself out of it. Maybe you've seen some of Mel Robbins' work on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you haven't, go Google Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go and see what she says about that. But like seriously, I'm phenomenal at it these days. I don't say that to impress you, just to impress upon you. Whoever you really want to be as you show up in the world is absolutely within your grasp right now. And this tool will facilitate as the catalyst for it. I promise you, right? I can guarantee to you, if you actually just stick to it, it will happen. And I can tell you that manifestation for me, like I am masterful, really, truly incredible. And what's fascinating is I become even clearer about what it is that I truly want. And what it is that I actually now really, truly want is just to enable others to actually enjoy their life as it is right now, to feel content and confident and to be courageous and to know that whatever they want is actually possible. Never in a million years, 10 years ago, did I think I would be the founder and CEO of a software company that's global and rapidly growing, right? But I am. Am I ready for it? Positive Prime is making sure that I am. There is so much that I need to learn. There are so many areas that I need to improve in. There are so many ways I need to develop. I need Positive Prime and all of its new sessions by all of its new contributors in order for me to become the best version of me. And I invite you on this journey. And interestingly enough, we actually have, I think, one of the most exciting professional programs of anybody in the field of personal development, self-improvement, positive psychology, and neuroscience. And I'm very, 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 very grateful. It's a real honor and privilege to be working with amazing coaches and therapists and speakers and authors and incredible leaders of sales organizations and entrepreneurs, and helping them to really unlock their own brilliance and share their own messages. So before I take any questions, if you are the type of person who looks at all of the different content, the variety of content, and you think, you know what, I would actually really like my own Positive Prime session, my own vision and values, my own teachings, and I want to share that with my students or my audience or my clients or my patients, that's all possible. We have an incredible publishing arm to what we do. We do amazing corporate work. We do really phenomenal work in therapy. And actually what I might do is I might give you a little bit of a guide. Shall I do that? Who's got some questions? Who's got some questions? So are you all convinced that this is a positive prime session is both a treat and an indulgence and also a necessity? It's a non-negotiable. Do you all get that? I think so. I think so. If you're not already a subscriber at the signature level, please dive on in. For those of you who are watching this post the 1st of July 2020, and there'll be many, many, many hundreds, maybe even thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of people who do watch this video. As of the 1st of July 2020, we have an incredible ambassadors program for affiliates. If you're into internet marketing or direct sales and you understand really making money from home and so forth, I have decided that my mission is to be really, really, really generous with the way that we operate our ambassador program for our affiliates. I actually want to really help abundance flow in their lives. And I've structured it in such a way that it is incredibly rewarding financially. But much more than that, there is this exquisite opportunity whenever I meet with a patient or a client, and I know that if I can actually really help them to understand the power and the potency of positively priming themselves every single day, I will help them to change their lives in ways they cannot even fathom. The benefits, the advantages, the upside, that I have a role in uplifting others. And it's so interesting because I have coached so many people who've really struggled in like network marketing or franchises or direct sales or with their own small business, right? I've coached, well, I've taught thousands of therapists in my spa industry business. You can go and find out a lot more about me in that. The treatment that I invented is called Lithos therapy, L-I-T-H-O-S therapy. I trained over 5,000 therapists. I wrote the subjects that are taught in institutions like the Australasian College of Natural Therapies. And effectively I invented what is now known as hot stone massage, except of course it was a therapeutic, heated marble sculptures and chilled marble sculptures, vasodilation, vasoconstriction, this incredible, beautiful mixing and merging of lots of Eastern and Western concepts of ancient and modern techniques. And the point is that so many people struggle, and it's actually not necessary. And I was one of them. I really was. I struggled with the monkey mind, or I struggled with my internal critic, and I don't anymore. And I want everybody to have that freedom and that peace of mind. When we're really peaceful within, we're actually also very peaceful without. We can actually enter situations that are very volatile, where there's real crises, and we're actually the calm that they need in the storm. And that's a real privilege to be in that position. It's a real honor. It's actually a real pleasure. And you don't need to do that with ego, but you can do this with this incredible serenity and harmony. And that is being the change that we must see in the world. Really peaceful people who are cheerful and who are healthy mentally and emotionally, and who go in and actually help ignite others so that they can be really healthy mentally and emotionally. And so maybe if that's a call to you, please reach out to us. And the other thing that I love doing really is taking this one step further, and over a couple of hours, just helping somebody to personalize a session. Tell me if you're up for that and you want me to actually just go through some screen sharing and show you. We actually have 2 other videos where I have done an incredible job of actually showing how do you personalize, and in what way, shape or form, and effectively how do you go search for your images. So I'm going to leave it right there, and I'm going to say thanks very much, and I love you all, and I will speak to you very soon. Does that sound all right? I think so. We've been together for just over an hour, and I think it was a very powerful hour. Love you all. Thank you. Bye.